All right, Shalom. I'm going to start off with giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And I'm going to entitle this video, The End of the World as We Knew It. Now, what sparked my interest to do a video on the topic was, I got a comment the other day from some simp in the comment section. This guy put up a comment, and I'm gonna read it for you in just a minute. But when I read this, I had to like take a triple read of this comment because I was like, wait a second, did this fool just say what I think he said? So this is unbelievable. That you have idiots out here that are on such a low level. They can't see the shit that's going on, man. Right? You got a saying that goes, you got to wake up and smell the coffee. I mean, well, shit, this is one of those instances right here, man, as you're going to see in a moment. So there was a comment put up by an individual named and so. And so is the name of this person. And they put up a comment, which it's in like 3 parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read each section, then I'm going to comment on it and give a response. And then I'll do that for all 3 of the sections here, just so you can wrap your mind around how ridiculous this statement is. So I'll start at the top. He says, any specific reason why you think people are going to be stealing and killing each other for food? The Corolla and the toilet paper shortage was literally years ago. That stuff is done, and I don't see any idiots still running around wearing masks, nor do I hear the mainstream media even talk about it anymore. Now, let me respond to that real quick. He asked, well, why do you think people are going to be killing each other and stealing from each other for food? It's like, well, that's in prophecies. I brought up, Second Ezra is the 15th chapter, man. If you read that, it speaks about that in those times, men are going to be for great tribulation, and for the lack of bread, they're going to be, breaking into each other's homes, to steal their goods. Go ahead and read it. Second Ezra chapter 15. That's what it says, man. Among other things, it mentions that, a man would seek to go into a city, but he wouldn't be able to do it. And we saw that with the lockdowns. Say for an example, man, if I was up, here in New Jersey, man, and I wanted to go down to Florida, I couldn't do it after a certain amount of time because, they wouldn't let you on the planes. Then they, shut some of the states, up to where you couldn't leave them. You had to be locked down. Right? So that's why I made the statement, because in the video that he left a comment on, I made a reference to, soon out here, man, there's going to be people out here, rioting, killing each other for food, which is a true statement. Just going off of what we've seen in the last couple of years, I made a statement of, back when this Corolla thing came in, 2019, you had idiots out there that were, willing to, punch another person's teeth out just for, 4 pack of toilet paper. And I've seen plenty of examples of this. People getting into, fist fights over the last, bottles of Clorox and, toilet paper and, paper plates even. But, it's like, well, shit. Right now, everybody's stomach is full, right? So wait until it's, for food. Wait until it's cans of beans and cans of corn that people are fighting each other over. That's when things get scary, man. That's when people start killing each other over it. Right? We see, people, punching people and, just to get a pack of toilet paper. So what happens when it's actually for food instead? So see? So he said, I'll read the other part. He said that Corolla and toilet paper shortage was literally years ago. That stuff is done. Well, let me comment on that. He said that stuff is done. No, it ain't. I myself just had the Corolla like 7 months ago. I had it. I was down and out for 5 days due to that, man. Definitely the most severe, sickness I've had in my life, I can say. Oh, and then recently, three people in my close family just got the Corolla. Like literally, what, a week ago, max 2 weeks ago. They just recently got over it a few days back, right? But they got it like 2 weeks ago and just recently got over it. So no, the Corolla's still going around. It never disappeared, and it likely will never disappear. As far as masks, I don't really see anybody wearing masks anymore. Once in a while, you'll see somebody wearing it, but as soon as these yabs, read between the lines, as soon as these yabs, started going out, 2 years ago, over the course of a couple months, people started to, not wear masks. So I don't get what this guy's trying to say, with those statements. For one, I clearly cut him to shreds on all of those points he brought up. I'll go into the second segment. He said, what is happening in the world right now that's so special? This world has already had problems, and there have always been the group of religious people saying we are in the end times, since Christ was crucified, and before that, actually. This is well documented. So if the end times have been going on since day one, my question is, when do they end? And again, what sign are you given that we are all about to suffer? Is this a mind of Shireg thing? All right, now let me respond with that. He said at the top, he said, what is happening in the world right now that's so special? It's like, wait a second, what's happening in the world that's so special? I mean, well, we're seeing the prophecies come to pass, right? We're seeing, everything that Christ, Yahushai, warned would be taking place in the end times, right? Matthew 24, Mark 13, 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 16. Um, let's see, Isaiah 24. Right, we're seeing all those things take place, man. Christ warned about it. You have uproars of the people. You'd have nations rising against other nations. You'd have famines, and pestilences, right, and earthquakes in diverse places. All the things that Christ warned about. Oh, people, claiming that they are the Messiah themselves. I literally know multiple people on the internet who claim that they're the Messiah and they're serious about it. Uploading videos like every other day, claiming that they're the Christ, and they've been doing it for years on end. So you got, around the world there got to be like, I would imagine a few 100,000 people around the world who claim that they're the Christ, born again in the flesh, which is ridiculous. But these are the people we got out here, man. But that's a sign of the time, because Christ said, that in the last time you would have people impersonating him, claiming that, Christ is here or there, and it says don't believe him. Now I can acknowledge, may we say, back even in, say, 100 years ago, right, with World War One or even World War Two, people living in those times probably thought, well, yeah, this is the end times, right? We're in the end times, and Christ is going to return, in like, a couple of years, if not a couple of months, because, this is the end of the world. So, yeah, there's no doubt that, throughout time, especially, the last two world wars, people living in those times most likely believed that they were living in the end times and that Christ was going to return um, on the matter of days. Inside joke, inside joke. Just as Mina Shreg would say, right? On the matter of days. We saw what happened to that dude. But anyway. Um, so yeah, all throughout time, people believe that Christ would return in their lifetime. That's definitely true. I'm not gonna disagree with that. But the times that we're in now are different, because we clearly see, all of the things lining up to the prophecies. Right? All the things in the world are lining up to take place with, according to the prophecies. So, let me go back. Bear for just a second. And then And this is what I really was laughing at here. This is the third and final part of the comment. He said, the economy is up, jobs are booming, Corolla is going, life is moving on here. I mean, this guy is clearly what you call a dumbass right here. Now, I was thinking the only two possibilities for why this guy would make the statements he just said there is there's only like two possibilities that I've been able to come up with. The first one is maybe he's wealthy, so he's not, going through the struggles that the average person is, right? Like just someone like myself, trying to live off, $10, $15 for a week. That's extreme right there, man. 80% of the population is living, paycheck to paycheck. So maybe this guy is a wealthy person, so maybe he's not going through, the struggles that the average person has to go through, week to week. That could be a possibility. So therefore, he wouldn't, actually be aware of how, dire the situation is. Or the second possibility, which is very likely, is he's just repeating what he heard the social media say or somebody told him, the economy was great. So he might just be repeating what somebody else told him, not that he actually did research into it or knows much about it, but, he's just repeating what he heard other people say. That wouldn't surprise me. So those are like the two conclusions I've came to. Either he's wealthy, so he doesn't see the struggles that the average person's going through, or he's just a blind sheep that's repeating what somebody else told him about the economy. But let me read that last part again, because this was just absolutely laughable. He said, "The economy is up." What the hell are you talking about? The economy is up, dude. The economy is as bad as it's ever been, man. Right? We're coming into a second, Great Depression, man. And you can't deny that. I mean, this shit is terrible out here, man. And again, the only way you can deny that is either you're wealthy, so you're not affected like the average person, or as you're just in denial because you're just repeating what you heard someone else tell you. I mean, there's no other option. Either you're blind and just don't got a clue what the hell you're talking about, which this guy clearly doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, in all polite terms being used. Then he says jobs are booming, which that's not necessarily true. Well, I'll say, there are jobs available, but the average person has to pick up like, free jobs, two free jobs just to scrape by. So to say jobs are booming, that's a dishonest statement. There's jobs available, but the average person has to take up two or three jobs just to scrape by, have enough to pay for their food or rent, and the internet and car bill, whatever else. So having two or three jobs, just enough to scrape by. So that's a lie right there to say jobs are booming. The only reason why there's jobs available and people are taking them is because one person, right? Or let me rephrase myself, because we'll say one person just to survive has to work two or three jobs. So to you, it might seem like there's a lot of job options available, but truthfully, the average person's working like more than one job just to get by. So that's a dishonest statement. Then he says Corolla is gone. Well, you're clearly disproven based on the examples I've just given a minute ago. And he said life is moving on here. The hell are you talking about? Life is moving on. It's like, dude, are you not capable of seeing that, the whole world's going to shit? May I also mention we're on the verge of a nuclear war with Russia right now. It's like shit. We didn't even mention that, right? It's like, what about that? That you know we're clearly looking at an escalation in the conflict that's going on in Ukraine right now, man. Really, what's going on with that situation is Russia's really fighting the NATO alliance because it's the alliance that's sending over all of these, ammunition and tanks and whatever other goods they're sending over there to aid in the conflict. So really, Russia's fighting NATO. It's just Ukrainian troops that are operating the machinery, but the one supplying the machinery is the alliance. Because truthfully, hypothetically speaking, right, going back to February 24th, which let me say this, man, you know, back in, what was it? February 24th, 2022, right, the day the invasion began. I was actually up. It happened in our time here in the United States. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, because their time zone is different, right? So it was 4 o'clock in the morning here when the news first came in about the invasion. So I was literally up, before everybody else, because most people over here were asleep at that time, of course. Um, so I knew about what was going on a few hours before everybody else who was up and, read the news and, found out what was happening. So it's like shit, I found out about the invasion probably like 10, 15 minutes after it began because it takes a little while for the information to, circulate, for them to, publish an article or, quickly put up a video about it, and shit like that. So I found out about that really when it first began. But the point that I'm getting at is hypothetically speaking, right, if America and the NATO alliance didn't send any type of aid over to Ukraine, they would have got steamrolled and probably maybe they could have held out for a week or two, of course, but you know they couldn't survive without any type of foreign aid being sent to their country. So Russia could have easily steamrolled over that country in like a week or two, tops. The only reason why it's been going on for like what 16 months now is because of all of the aid that they've been getting from NATO and other countries around the world, sending over all the aid. So that's really the only reason why that country still exists right now and hasn't been absorbed into Russia, is because the NATO sending them all of these equipment to defend themselves. So truthfully, what's going on is Russia's actually fighting the NATO alliance. The NATO's just using Ukrainian troops to fire the machinery. So, sooner or later, man, there's going to be an escalation in this thing. And truthfully, those of us who are into these prophecies, right, into these scriptures, you should want that to happen, man. That's why the scriptures speak about in, what is that? I want to say 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, right, starting at 10 on down, that speaks about, we according to his promise, we're looking for, a new heavens and a new earth wherein dwells righteousness, right? But in it says we're looking forward to and hastening unto the day of the coming of Christ, where when the heavens will be on fire and the elements will be dissolved, right? So we're supposed to be looking forward to these things, man. Why? Because, if we're of the hopeful elect, we'll get delivered, right? We'll get delivered if we're part of that elect number, man. To be raptured away, as the church would say, right? Which, by the way, the rapture's in the Bible. The word isn't used, but we do see allusions to it. Because the word rapture means to gather together. So Matthew 24:29 on down speaks about Christ sending his angels to gather together his elect. So the word rapture can fit there because it just means to gather together. But I don't want to, make this video too long. I just wanted to, give a response to that. Anyway, I'm going to say shalom.